if you have anybody who says to you, whether it's a CEO or an HR director or what have you, that says people here aren't burnt out, they're completely out of touch with reality. They have absolutely no idea what's going on with their staff. If you look at big surveys across the globe, it looks that there's about 75% of people who would say that they feel burnt out. So if your staff satisfaction surveys aren't showing those numbers, then there's something that's going on, either with the question and the way that it was asked, the people who don't feel safe talking about it, or something else. But a CEO's reaction to whatever is being said on those metrics needs to be really looked at with a fine-tooth comb to say what's actually happening beneath the surface. Because when we look at why people leave their jobs, it's oftentimes because of their boss. And you talked about looking at the middle stuff. To me, team trust is not built in big moments. There's not a moment where you, as an employee, walk into a meeting and say, okay, great, I feel so much trust for this team and my leaders. That just doesn't happen. Trust is built in many, many small ways by repetitive actions that your leaders are taking. So if your leader is just not even visible on the floors of that hospital, if they're not in it with the doctors and nurses and everybody else who's making the hospitals function, if they have no clue because they're not really roaming around and seeing it firsthand, then again, they're going to be completely out of touch with what's actually happening inside of their organization. So unless you are actually conversing with the people who work there and really caring about what they're saying and doing something to address their concerns, then your obliviousness is going to cause the burnout to rise in the organization. And I think a lot of people underestimate the power that the leaders in the company have. So even if the kind of organization might have a culture of, okay, don't work when you're off work, but then you've got people who are texting you, asking you questions about previous patients or whatever else while you're off work, what kind of message is that sending? It's usually from a superior too, who might have questions about something that they're talking to you on your time off. So it's these mixed signals that can be given to folks to say, oh, we care about you and we want you to have time off. And we understand that this job is really hard. But then people sometimes, unfortunately, break boundaries. And what happens is that these workers then just keep their heads down. They do their job. They respond to their leader who is texting them off hours, and that's it. And so when these people stop talking, that's when the system really starts breaking down. But it happens first with the relationship between a supervisor and supervisee.